Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Pokemon Let's Go Eevee for the Nintendo Switch. I decided to record this in post-commentary, so it's just me, because I was not very happy with how the Pokemon Violet series went. And not because I don't think that the series is of poor quality or any other issue like that, but rather I just wasn't happy playing the game. In the case of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a remake of Pokemon Yellow, I absolutely love this game. I love this game to death. In fact, I think that it is arguably tied with Legends Arceus for the best Pokemon game on the Switch. That's a bold claim, I know. But truthfully, when compared to Sword and Shield and Pokemon Violet, I cannot say that I think that this game is inferior to those. As a matter of fact, if you look at my tier list, I put Pokemon Violet at the very lowest end in Pokemon. Not only because of the game's abysmal performance, but also because of the story and the navigation throughout the region. One thing that some people should know is I actually am a fan of open world game, but your open world has to be very, very cool and fun. And it has to run well. If it does not run well, then I'm going to have some key issues with it. Meanwhile, we have this game, the Let's Go games, which are not open world and are closer to the original games, meaning that they are boxed in worlds. There's a limit to how far you can go in any direction, despite the fact that the adventure will try to make it seem like otherwise is true. In this case, I should note that I am going to be gushing like a fanboy during this game, albeit it'll be really difficult to see that because of how I emote. And yet, some people say that this was lazy because it's just a remake of Gen 1 and we already had remakes of Gen 1 and we've been to Gen 1 so many times. Here's the thing. Personally, this is a personal take. My favorite region is Kanto. Completely. And I know that there's going to be some disagreement with that. Some people will say that, how can you like Kanto so much? It's so boring. I was like, no, it's not. The reason I like Kanto so much is partially because of how open it actually is on original hardware, and because I like how it's designed. Genuinely, you don't need this grandiose world to get me invested. You just need good characters. And while I do like this game, I have to say that the inclusion of the new characters here, so Tracy and the trainer character, if I was to remake this game, I would have had the two characters be, red and blue, and had the rival green be the rival. However, I think that the reason they did that, regarding how you set up the character, is because they wanted to put the other race characters, and I guess this is a way to get around, people getting stupidly, how should I put it? Well, actually, I think it's easier than that. I think that the reason they did this is because the trainer character is supposed to represent you. However, red and green have had this. They've pretty much been one of the few trainer characters to get fully realized characterizations that people just know of, even if you are just a small-time Pokemon fan. If you're not a big-time Pokemon fan, it's different, but the whole point is Red and Green's story has been told enough times that people know it, so I think that's why they got rid of those two as the main characters and gave us these new ones. Now, the problem is that it does introduce some inconsistencies, such as when Green says that back in his day, he had to fill up the Pokemon Dex with pencil, which isn't true, because even back in the original games, they used the high-tech encyclopedia that automatically recorded, and Pokemon Origins even does the same thing. What I should say is that this was so close to being my favorite Pokemon game. I think that the best Pokemon game is Pokemon Black 2, and that my favorite Pokemon game is Soul Silver. However, the way you could make this definitively my favorite game is if the following occurs. For non-boss trainers, and for wild encounters, you have the Legends Arceus system of battle. And you could even use the whole crouch and capture from Legends Arceus and the dodge roll. Okay, I think that Pokemon attacking your trainer character should be something implemented, and that it should take you back to a Poké Center. I do genuinely like that approach. Second, have these scenes be fully voiced. I understand that they don't want to do that because, number one, it would take an absurd amount of translations. Some people will say, but just get a Japanese and English one. I would agree, except for the fact that Pokemon is, how should I put it, multinational to the max. And as such, if they're going to do voicing, they would, in their mind, do voicing for every single country. And given their development time being really strict, I doubt it'll happen. Although I was informed that Generation 10 might be delayed, and if it is, then thank goodness. I also want to point out that I'm very excited for Pal World, which comes out in January of this year. I know this comes out in May, but for me, I'm recording this in December, so now you know when I'm recording this. Overall, I am looking forward to this completely. And I think that this game is excellent. So here we have our first Pokemon that you get. In this case, the fact that you are forced to start with an Eevee, as opposed to just giving the players 5 options, or even 6 if you want to reference the fabled Pokemon Pink with the Clefairy, but I doubt they would do that. So instead, just have them do the main 5 options being Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, Pikachu, and Eevee, and just make all of them available in the wild at later points during the game. If they did that, I think that this would be so much better. I know that sounds odd, but that is just how I'm gonna think about it right now. In addition to that, have boss trainers such as gym leaders, enemy team leaders, and Elite Four work under the regular battle system. And obviously give us set versus switch mode, because that was good. But I'd rather just the whole game be on set mode, honestly. I don't know why they're so hell-bent to push in switch mode. I guess it's for the little kids, but even then, Pokemon is not a very hard game. And switch mode doesn't exactly make it that much easier. Mind you, set mode doesn't make the game stupidly hard either. If you want a really difficult Pokemon game, you're going to need to use the ROM hacks. Okay, the Omega Fire Red or Emerald Kaizo. If you are so hell-bent on a difficult Pokemon adventure, use a ROM hack. Now here, we're going to be introducing how I will be using the combat system for this game. Wild encounters will be skipped, unless they are something I deliberately want to show. And non-important trainers will be skipped. Even if there is a mandatory battle, if it is not in service of the plot, I'm going to skip it. And the reason for doing so is just because I want to avoid as much unneeded air. You know that you don't need to see me fight the Pidgey or the Caterpie for the 100th time in a row. I know I showed everything for the Moemon Fire Red Nuzlocke that I did, I think over a year ago. But since you've already seen me do all the Cantonian trainers, I don't think there's any need for me to show them off here. Not at all. So you're going to be seeing me only demonstrate the important encounters. How far are we going to get in this Let's Play will mostly be, how should I put it? I guess up to certain encounters. I won't be doing the red fight because that requires me to do a bunch of one-on-one fights and I'm just not in the mood for that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'll do the rematch against Green and the rematch against... Actually, no, the rematch against Green and the first time you can fight Blue in the Celadon Cave, which I believe was called Mysterious Dungeon in the original game. And that's about it. We're not doing the red fight unless somebody really wants me to do the red fight. I mean, if you comment below that you want me to do the red fight, I'll do it. But the likelihood of that coming to fruition is quite low, as I don't feel like doing enough of those battles. I just want to get to the Mewtwo battle, and then... I mean, I might change my mind, and I might just do the red fight, because I like the fight against Red so much. but the likelihood of that is quite low. I will do the other two trainer characters, so I'll do green and I'll do blue. That's a guarantee. I'm also going to go out of my way to catch Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres, simply because I think they are relevant to this game, and I will show off those encounters. But other than that, there won't be much else here. In addition, something that I wish Pokemon would just have, local multiplayer. Be it through download play on the Switch, or couch co-op, or two consoles connecting, or even online multiplayer. Could you imagine just running around with 3 trainers? You know, just you and 2 friends playing online together, but better than how Scarlet and Violet did it. If they did pretty much this system, where everyone joined one player's specific game, and that's the story that progressed. And the way it would work is that if one player got into a battle, it would send everyone to the battle. Unless it's wild, in which case it'll be separate. If it worked that way, I would be very excited. Especially if we could do this online. I don't even like online, but just the idea of teaming up with 2 more people. That way we could have an excuse for, you know, multi-battles, triple battles, stuff like that. Because I do miss triple battles. The fact that they weren't in 3D games is a complete letdown. I also wish they would bring back horde battles, you know, 5-on-1 for the wild encounters. But if they're going to do that, I don't think they could use the Legends Arceus turn system. They probably could, but it would be really difficult to implement it. Either way, I would be down for that. Completely. There'd be no question in my mind. How should I continue with this? This multiplayer system, I will admit that the only real gripe I have with the Let's Go games is their lack of challenge. Like I said, I'm not expecting Dark Rising Kaizo, for example. I'm not expecting any of those ROM hack level difficulties for my Pokemon game. But I just want enough difficulty where I have to think about the battles. One of my biggest gripes with the Pokemon Violet playthrough is that either the difficulty comes from an opponent being a damage sponge, and me just spamming items to get out of it, or the game has no challenge at all, and I just completely sweep the enemy teams. Meanwhile, this game has the same issue, but at least it's Gen 1, it's a generation that I know like the back of my hand, so I understand why there wouldn't be difficulty at all for me. I don't know about other people, and I also know that this game was mostly created for the Pokemon Go players. And, you know, Pokemon Go players are the definition of casual 9 times out of 10, especially when this game came out. I'm serious. I knew full-grown adult women who have never touched a Pokemon game in their lives, but they were on Pokemon Go. It was baffling to me. I said to myself, I have never heard you play Pokemon in your life, but now you're telling me you're a die-hard fan? Okay. I mean, nothing against her enjoying the game. I mean, I didn't like Pokemon Go when I played it, but that's just me. I know that other people liked it, and I'm glad that they liked it. Good for them. It was just not great for me, and that's fine. I know that I'm not going to be enjoying everything other people do, and I know that not everyone will enjoy things I do. And that's just something that I have to... Well, I think that everyone should know. Even if they don't want to accept it, they should at least in the back of their head know that that is the case. I really do love this multiplayer system. It does make the game too easy when you just sit there with 2 controllers in your hand. But here's the thing. I like that you have the option. You can just put the other controller down if you think this makes the game too easy. This is an option, and I'm always for more options. I would be so down, hypothetically, to just plug in 4 controllers into my Switch so that me and 3 friends could sit down on a couch together and just play through it like this. Even if they can't talk to each other, the fact that we're all there together and we're all contributing to the battle, that helps with the enjoyment of this game. Would it absolutely break the game? Absolutely, because, well, let me put it this way. You're in charge of building a box. You know, just however you do it. Does it get easier if you have 3 more people who know how to build a box and have the means to build a box with you? Yes, but at the end of the day, you still built that box. That is the case here. So that, yes, the game becomes easy when I'm playing like this, you know, 2 controllers in my hand. But I do like it. If I really wanted to do a challenge run, I could have done the single player, but I might as well show off one of the coolest features that this game has, and that is the multiplayer. The multiplayer of this is so good, and I wish more Pokemon games did this. And like I said, other than that, it's really just so good, this game, and I love this game to death. I just wish it was made more difficult. And I don't mean to accommodate for multiplayer, I just mean just difficult in general. We're gonna get to a point in this Let's Play where, actually this isn't a Let's Play, it's a commentary. We're gonna get to a point in this commentary where I find myself maybe 20 levels above everyone else. And it's not because of grinding. It's simply due to the fact that this game is so easy, and how much freedom they give you is so ridiculous. I also have to point out that this game does something that Scarlet and Violet fails to do. And that is, this game is not lag like a motherfucker when you play it. Scarlet and Violet was stuttering so badly, or failing to load in NPCs. The most egregious point of that would be when I went to fight Button, and her NPC was completely invisible for a few seconds. That was horrendous. Especially because that's a story cutscene. Actually, that might have been after the fight. Yeah, it was after the fight, and when you go down to meet her to say that, oh, Team Starfall has fallen. And that's the end of the Starfall challenge. That's different. But for the most part, this game runs really well on the hardware that it's for. I would rather they make an attempt to do a... how should I put this? Like a more photorealistic art style, because personally, I like the photorealistic art style in games. I know that a lot of people like that cartoony look in video games, and I respect that. But just personally, I like photorealism. And that's partially why I was just a huge fan of, say, the art style of Sonic Frontiers, and why I wasn't too big on Dream Team's art style. But this is not a Sonic commentary, so I'll drop it there. In addition, I do have to praise this game somewhat for cutting down on the grind. Since this game was never designed with competitive in mind, at least I don't think it was designed with competitive in mind, I don't mind that they have the XP All. The reason I'm against XP All in the Pokemon series as a whole has to do with the fact that it makes grinding out a competitive Pokemon a pain in the ass. But other than that, I don't mind it too much. I mean, if I'm doing a Nuzlocke, for example, then yeah, I would love the option to turn off XP All. I don't think that needs to be on by force. You know, so thank goodness. But it's not something that I absolutely despise as a system. I think that you can have it. But what they could do is keep the XP All, but completely remove any gains of EVs. I think if they did that, people would have less problem with it. You know, keep the EVs off when leveling up with XP All, but still give the level up. I think that works. And I know why partially some people don't want to do it. Maybe you want to use a really gimmicky fear Pokemon during an important battle, and that gimmick sort of fails if you give your Pokemon levels. I get that. But still, it's not the end of the world. I am going to show off evolutions as you're seeing here and as you saw earlier, simply because I believe that they are important to the demonstration of growth in the game. In addition to how I'm going to be showing off trainers, facility trainers that are relevant to the plot will be demonstrated, otherwise you get skipped, like this guy here. Come on. See? Because, like I said, you don't need to see me kill the next Kakuna over and over again. Oh, my apologies, this isn't a Nuzlocke, so you don't need to see me make a Kakuna faint. I'm also going to be skipping over menu manipulation because nobody's trying to see that. I don't care what you say, you're not interested in me manipulating menus. Okay, that's why my Neptunia series has such shit views, because I don't cut out the menus in a lot of them. I'm going to start cutting out menuing in Neptunia for the foreseeable future, and I think that'll help with retention, but that's besides the point. So once again, we have another trainer that we just defeated, and now you didn't have to see it. I think it just helps the pacing of the video as well. It makes it flow so much better. This is partially why I wanted to do a post commentary, because having this game flow better just works. If I ever do the original red, blue, yellow, green for the channel, I will do this. I will show off effectively the trainers. I will show off every trainer, potentially. If you guys want. If you guys want, I'll show off every trainer. But I highly doubt that. I think that if I ever do the originals, I'll only show a mandatory trainers. And I think that'll work for the most part. For this being the first console Pokemon release, I have to give it credit. This is really freaking good. And I just wish that, say, if they had to make BDSP different from the main series, I really wish that they would have used the Let's Go system and just kept in the default battles. Imagine if we got to play BDSP with this engine. It would look so good. Oh, that's another thing. If this game had free camera mode, it would also be boosted by how much I like this game. If you gave this game a free cam. For example, let's say somebody wanted to do this. Mod in this map to Scarlet and Violet and see how much it breaks. I want to see what that looks like, because I think that would be really good. And here is going to be one of the few wild encounters that I genuinely just choose to show. It's the Bulbasaur encounter. I love the fact that you can catch the starters in this game. This should be a thing in all the future games. I know that Legends Arceus did this as well, but that's a case of they allowed you to capture the Sinnoh starters and not the 3 starters of the game from the start. If you could do that, I would love it so much more. I still think that of the Switch games, Legends Arceus is the best one. Now, whatever the next Pokemon game is, if it comes out on Switch, hasn't come out yet. The most recent games are the Scarlet and Violet and their DLC at the time of this recording. So if there's anything else that comes out after, I haven't played it, I haven't seen it, nothing. So maybe this statement will be dated, but I doubt it. And now you see the team that I've been building up so far. Again, this is probably my only issue with this game. It's the same issue that I have with, say, Neptunia's Sisters vs. Sisters. And that is the fact that it is just too easy. If the game was made harder, I would like it more. But that's just me. And I know that's a mandatory trainer, but he's not a plot-relevant trainer, so I skip him. I think that explains my stance there. I'm just thinking about it, you know, how cool it would be to have 4 Switches in a room with some friends, and we're just all going on the same map. We just join one person's save file and help that guy progress, or something else. It'll just, you know, interrupt whatever you're doing. Now, and just allow everyone to join in on that battle. Could you imagine, you know, how fun it would be to just 4v1 the whole game? I know it'd probably get old because of how easy it is, but it would just be so cool to see your friends on your Switch. I think that what else they could do is, like, maybe they could do a race. Like, they'll put you in a section of the game and say, from here, defeat Misty or something. Like, let's say they put you in Pewter City and it's multiplayer, and they go, from this point, defeat Misty. So you'd have to make the trip through Mount Moon, and it would cap you based on who does it faster, who does it better, and stuff like that. I'm just thinking of how you could do multiplayer that isn't just competitive battling. Because if Pokemon is only down to competitive battling for the multiplayer, then a lot of people don't really do it unless you are a competitive battler or if you just have friends in school. I'm just thinking about how else you could do multiplayer in this game for people. You could do co-op, you could do racing, maybe you could do like catch this Pokemon and it's a race. So you and someone start out in Pallet Town and they say catch an Onix, and just have that be a race. I would be so down to see that. Now, one thing I do like about this is that they allowed the trainers in this game to actually retain their original posing from the games. You're gonna see me absolutely praise that, because I gotta tell you, I think I played through Red, Blue, Yellow, Green maybe over 50 times in my life, because I just love the originals that much. And I'm not a Gen 1er, guys, okay? I was born in the 2000s. I cannot be a Gen 1er. My favorite game isn't even Gen 1, but I just love the original game so much that I'm willing to overlook a lot of things with these games. Like I said, I really wish this stuff was voice acted, but if it wasn't gonna be voice acted, I get it. I get it a lot. And maybe what they could do, because we have technology now, they could, for the sake of reading your character's name, they could use that AI text-to-speech thing. Or you could even do speech-to-speech, as in, you could tell the game your name when you voice, and it'll just use the microphone on the Switch, for example, and do it so that you can type in your name, and then they would ask, how do you say your name? And you would say it out loud. And using that speech-to-speech, you could have the voice actors of these games, hypothetically, read out your name in real time, and it would just sound so good, assuming they get the technology right. You know, just having voices in Pokemon would be so good. I know that this is a running gag at this point, but seriously, the fact that we still don't have voice acting in this game is not good. Now here we are at the first gym leader, Brock. Oh my goodness, we made it to the first gym leader in 25 minutes? Okay, it was actually 40 minutes real time, but you get the point. The fact of the matter is, we made it to the first gym leader and beat the first gym leader in less time than it took to get through the tutorial of Scarlet and Violet. Okay? I cannot stand how bad that tutorial is. The Scarlet and Violet tutorial is so bad on replays. But this, okay, we got our first Pokemon, we got our first battle, and we got out of the city in under 10 minutes if I didn't stay to explore. With the exploration, we didn't stay out for very long. In fact, we got in and out really quickly. And this right here is just why I have to praise the pacing of the original games. Because it's just like that on the Game Boy as well. The pacing of Red, Blue, Yellow, Green is so much better than the other Pokemon games on the Switch. Even Legends Arceus, which I praise to death and say it's probably in the top 10... Not top 10. In the top 5 Pokemon games. Even then, I have to give credit to the originals for having superior pacing. This is a change I don't like. Why is it that they put headbutt here instead of bide, like in the original games? I don't like changes like that, simply because I think it ruins the integrity of the original games, because this is technically a remake, but it's more like a remix of sorts, because it's not the exact same as Yellow. It has features from Yellow, but this right here doesn't make it a remake, it makes it a remix. Here we have Green, or Blue in the English version, and man, I gotta tell you, I like seeing this guy, okay? I think that he should have been the rival, and that you should have played as Red in this game. Or Green if you really want to, or Blue if you want to give the female players their option. But overall, that's going to be it for the first episode. We made it to Brock, we defeated Brock, and just like that, we're already further in this playthrough than we were during Scarlet and Violet. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen.